Lisa Morgan had lived in Hollow Creek her entire life. The small town sat nestled between dense forests and endless cornfields, a place where everyone knew each other's names. But in the past year, something had changed. Young, blonde men were disappearing. It had started with Tyler Grayson, a 22-year-old college student who came home for the summer and never made it back to school. Then there was Mark Evans, a local bartender. After his shift one night, he simply vanished. The town had been uneasy, but nothing shook them quite like the disappearance of Deputy Nathan Carter. A cop. Gone. And just like the others, his car was found abandoned by the river. No signs of struggle. No blood. No body. Just gone. Lisa wasn't a detective, but she was curious. She worked at the town's only diner, and if there was one thing she had learned, it was that people talked over coffee and pie. She had spent years listening to whispers, gossip, secrets that people thought no one else was paying attention to. And now, all anyone could talk about was the missing men. Lisa wiped down the counter and glanced toward the booth by the window. That's where Nathan had always sat, black coffee, 2 sugars. The last time she had seen him, he had been asking questions about the disappearances. "I think someone's hunting them," he had said. Lisa had laughed nervously. That's ridiculous. But he hadn't laughed. Then, 2 nights later, he was gone. That evening, just before closing, a man walked in. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with messy brown hair and piercing green eyes. Something about him felt off. Lisa forced a polite smile. "Coffee?" The man nodded, sitting at the counter. "Black." She poured him a cup, her hands steady, but her heart pounded. Something about him made her uneasy. He wasn't a local. "You're new in town," she said, testing him. The man smiled. "Passing through." Lisa glanced at his hands, rough, calloused. A worker's hands. But there was something else. Under his sleeve, she caught a glimpse of a dark stain. Something that looked a lot like dried blood. Her stomach twisted. "Well, welcome to Hollow Creek." The man just smirked. After closing, Lisa drove straight to Nathan Carter's house. His sister, Olivia, answered the door, eyes red from crying. "Lisa? What are you doing here?" "I need to see Nathan's notes," Lisa blurted. Olivia hesitated, then nodded. She led Lisa to his home office, papers, maps, photos of the missing men pinned to the walls. Lisa scanned the chaos until she found his notebook. The last entry made her blood run cold. "I'm close. They're not random victims. It's selective. Someone is choosing them." And then, scribbled underneath in rushed, panicked writing, "I know who it is." But there was no name. No answer. Nathan had figured it out, and then he had vanished. Lisa clenched her jaw. Someone in Hollow Creek was responsible. And she was going to find out who. Lisa spent the next day driving through town, retracing Nathan's steps. She found herself at the old abandoned slaughterhouse on the edge of town. The building had been shut down for decades, but something about it made her uneasy. As she stepped inside, the air was thick with the stench of rot. Dust floated in the dim light filtering through broken windows. And then she saw it. A door, slightly ajar. Lisa pushed it open and nearly screamed. The room was filled with blonde hair. Strands, locks, scalps, nailed to the walls like trophies. Blood stained the floors, old and new. And in the center of the room, a single chair sat. Shackles dangled from its arms. Lisa took a shaky step back. This wasn't just a killer. This was a collector. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind her. Lisa spun around. And there, standing in the doorway, was the stranger from the diner. Smiling. Lisa's breath hitched. "It's you." The man chuckled. "Took you long enough." Her mind raced. There was no way out. "You killed them," she whispered. He shrugged. "Not just me." Lisa froze. "What?" The man took a step forward, tilting his head. "This town has secrets, Lisa. You're only scratching the surface." Lisa's heart pounded. "I should kill you," the man said, voice soft. "You're a little too smart for your own good." Lisa clenched her fists. "Then do it." He smirked. "Not yet." And then, darkness. Lisa Morgan woke up to the suffocating scent of rust and rot. Her head pounded, and her wrists ached, bound tightly behind her back. She was lying on a cold, blood-stained concrete floor. She wasn't dead. Not yet. She blinked, her vision adjusting to the dim light filtering through cracks in the walls. She was still in the slaughterhouse. But now, she wasn't alone. Across from her, another body lay motionless. Deputy Nathan Carter. Her breath caught. He was alive. His chest barely moved, his face bruised and bloodied. And then a voice. "You should have minded your own business, Lisa." The man from the diner stepped into view. Lisa clenched her jaw. "Who are you?" He crouched beside her, running a finger along a long, rusted knife. "Call me Evan." She glared at him. "Why? Why are you doing this?" Evan smirked. "Me? Oh, sweetheart. I'm just a cleaner." Lisa's stomach twisted. "What the hell does that mean?" He chuckled. "You think this is just me? You think I've been picking off these pretty blonde boys all on my own?" Lisa felt her blood run cold. Evan leaned in closer, his breath hot against her ear. "The town helps." Lisa's heartbeat thundered. "That's impossible." Evan laughed. "Is it? Who do you think covered up the disappearances? Who do you think called it runaways? Who do you think let it happen, for years?" Lisa's mind reeled. She had lived in Hollow Creek her entire life. Knew every street, every neighbor. But she had never known this. "You're lying," she whispered. Evan grinned. "You wish." Lisa forced herself to stay calm. "What do you want?" Evan tapped the knife against his palm. "Me? Nothing." He nodded toward the darkness. "They decide." Lisa turned her head, straining to see. And then she heard it, footsteps. One by one, people emerged from the shadows. The mayor. The sheriff. Her old school teacher. Even Olivia, Nathan Carter's own sister. Lisa's breath caught in her throat. They weren't scared. They weren't shocked. They were part of it. Lisa's voice trembled. "Why?" Sheriff Dalton stepped forward. His wrinkled face was calm, his voice eerily casual. "Because some secrets are worth keeping." Lisa shook her head. "You kill innocent people." The mayor sighed. "No, dear. We offer them." Lisa felt bile rise in her throat. "Offer?" Evan grinned. "To him." Lisa's heart slammed against her ribs. "Who?" Silence. Then, from the shadows, a figure stepped forward. Tall. Gaunt. Dressed in black, with eyes like empty pits. Lisa had never seen him before. But she knew him. Because she had felt him. In the woods. In the whispers of the wind. In the nightmares that clung to her since childhood. The town fed him. And now, he had come for her. Lisa struggled against her restraints, panic clawing up her throat. The dark figure took slow, deliberate steps toward her. Evan knelt beside her, pressing the knife to her cheek. "You're special, Lisa." Her pulse thundered. "Most get taken," Evan whispered. "But you? You get a choice." Lisa swallowed hard. "What choice?" Evan grinned. "Join us." Lisa felt the world tilt. "What?" Evan leaned closer. "Become one of us. Help us keep the town safe. Keep him fed." Lisa stared at the shadowed figure. It was barely human, something old, ancient, and hungry. She turned her head, looking at Nathan's broken body. If she refused, they'd kill her. Kill him. And the cycle would continue. Her mind raced. Lisa could fight. Or she could become the monster. Her voice was barely a whisper. "What do I have to do?" Evan grinned. The town watched. And the shadow smiled. Lisa Morgan felt the weight of 100 eyes on her. The town. The cult. The thing in the shadows. She could feel Nathan's faint breaths beside her. He was running out of time. Evan's grin widened. "So, Lisa, what's your answer?" Her mind screamed at her to fight, to resist. But deep down, she knew if she said no, she wouldn't live to regret it. Neither would Nathan. Lisa forced her face into a mask of calm. "I'll do it." The crowd murmured their approval. Evan nodded. "Smart girl." The dark figure stepped closer. Lisa felt the air around her shift, cold and unnatural. A voice, deep and layered with something inhuman, filled her mind. "Prove it." Evan handed Lisa the knife. She stared down at it, the blade slick with dried blood. "Kill him." Lisa's breath hitched. She turned to Nathan, his barely conscious eyes flickering open. "Lisa." His voice was weak, pleading. She had no choice. Or did she? Lisa gripped the knife tighter, pretending to hesitate. Then, she turned and drove the blade into Evan's throat. Blood sprayed across her face. The town gasped. Evan staggered back, clutching his neck, eyes wide in shock. He tried to speak, but only a gurgle came out before he collapsed. For a second, there was silence. Then, all hell broke loose. Lisa lunged for Nathan, slicing through his restraints. "Get up," she hissed. The crowd screamed. Sheriff Dalton drew his gun. Lisa threw the knife, striking his shoulder. The gun clattered to the ground. The dark figure loomed, its fury rippling through the air. The shadows twisted, reaching for Lisa. She grabbed Nathan and ran. Through the slaughterhouse doors. Through the trees. She could hear them behind her. The town. The creature. The thing that had fed for years. Lisa didn't stop. They burst onto the highway just as a pair of headlights appeared. Lisa threw herself into the road, waving wildly. Brakes screeched. A car skidded to a stop. A confused trucker stepped out. "What the hell?" Lisa grabbed Nathan and shoved him forward. "Drive. Now." The trucker hesitated, then saw the people emerging from the woods. The thing behind them. He didn't ask questions. They sped away. Lisa turned back, watching as the town of Hollow Creek vanished into the darkness. But she knew it wasn't gone. The town would rebuild. The creature would feed again. Lisa had survived. But she would never be free.